Hello and welcome back to the channel. We're going to go back to the £6 token jackpot era of this video, and this machine here, Eastenders by Maygay, is going to be going into the Hall of Fame. One thing I did forget to mention in the Seven Heaven video was that was going into the Hall of Fame as well. Of course, Seven Heaven has gone into the Hall of Fame. It's joining Screenplay, Indiana Jones and Double Chance in there. Now, I had a little bit of a dilemma over which machine to put into the Hall of Fame, because it was going to be one of these two. It was either going to be Eastenders or it was going to be Coronation Street. In the end, I have decided that it's going to be Eastenders that will go into the Hall of Fame. But having played both of these machines again in the last few days, I am very much of the opinion that Coronation Street deserves its own video, because it is very, very close. And there's also a nice little story about this layout as well. I believe this was one of the very first photo DXs, and there's a little bit of a story for how I sourced the machine glass for that from an arcade here to get the resources for this layout to a certain Altered Emu. Can you see there he is up there, Altered Emu? Look at the release date on this layout, January 2003, and that is of course the same Altered Emu who just in the last week released that gorgeous 777 Heaven layout that I was playing in the previous video. But unfortunately, as a machine, I think Eastenders just pips this, so Coronation Street, Coronation Street will not be going into the Hall of Fame. It's going to be a little bit of a cup final. It's going to be an 8.5, 9 out of 10. It's not going in the Hall of Fame. And this machine, no, I do not wish to save that out as an FML. It can stay as a DAT file, thank you very much. So here we have Eastenders. Now this layout here is by REUPLOAD. It was one of his M1A Madness layouts, and this was released in July 2008, so it's getting on for the best part of a decade since this layout was released. Unfortunately, I haven't seen anything of REUPLOAD or M1A Madness on the scene for quite some time now. He did release a relatively small number of layouts, and as the name would suggest, that they were all around the M1AB tech, under the M1A Madness sort of moniker. He did do other layouts as well. I think Spectre, the BFM machine Spectre, is one that springs to mind, but he specialised in M1AB, and Eastenders is a fantastic example of the kind of work that he used to do. Even this layout is 10 years old. It still looks absolutely fantastic today. It's a superb layout. Shame he's not still around on the scene, but he has left a legacy for us of some absolutely fantastic layouts to play that still hold up 100% today. Now, that said about the layout, the machine itself, if you're of my age, you'll remember these Maygay AWPs. They had a whole lot of them for quite a period of time that were all really very similar. You've got like the Pink Panther, you've got Monopoly, you've got Eastenders, you've got Coronation Street, you've got Noel's House Party. There was a whole load of Inferno, there's another one that just sprung to mind. There's a whole load of them that all had very, very similar profiles. I think they must have had quite a lot of shared code behind the scene. They were £3 cash repeater, £6 token jackpot. They saved up for a £30 streak that they would dump once in a while, and if you caught them in a bad mood, they were absolutely horrid. But they were entertaining machines to play. Maygay tended to get pretty good licenses. They got Eastenders here, of course, which appears to have all the real voice samples on it as well. Proper BBC licensed product, and they were good fun to play. They were entertaining AWPs. That's not to say that I did particularly well on them. I do remember taking quite a few kickings on all of these Maygay AWPs back in the day. If you got involved with them and you didn't manage to get the streak, they could do a fair amount of damage to you, even on these small jackpots. We are mercifully here running the early, or certainly the original stake and prize. I don't know what ROM revision we're on here, but we are at least on the correct stake and prize, which is 20p, £6. I absolutely beseech you, if you're going to play any of these old Maygays, play them on their original stake and prize. There were all kinds of horrible versions of them came out over the years. 5p a play, 10p a play. The jackpots got upgraded or downgraded. I mean, I think Eastenders and Coronation Street even made it to a £10 jackpot. I remember playing a £10 jackpot Coronation Street in an arcade here, and it just absolutely stuffed the machines up. The balance of them went all out of whack. They absolutely belong on the original stake and prize, which is a £3 cash repeater, £6 token jackpots. They were clearly designed for that, and that is where they play best. I will also say I'm going into this machine blind. It's had a lot of play off me over the years, but I haven't fattened it up with autoplay or tried to get it in the mood to streak or anything like that. I will just go in and play it, and I have played it a lot over the years, so it's nicely settled down. It should be in a decent natural state, but I'm just kind of wandering up to it as if it was in a pub and I didn't really know its history. And I think part of the reason that it's Eastenders that's going into the Hall of Fame and not Coronation Street is arguably a little bit personal. So if you'll bear with me, there's a little tale that I have about this machine where it arguably preemptively saved my marriage before my relationship with the future Mrs. Degsy had even begun, because I spent an awful lot of time in an arcade in Piccadilly Gardens in Manchester. If you know the area, you'll know the one that I mean. It's just kind of next to the Metrolink station in Piccadilly Gardens. And I was in there all the time because I was a student in Manchester, because I also had jobs in Manchester. I was in the town centre all the time. I had friends who were at Manchester Uni when I was up at Lancaster Uni, and I would visit them, so I was going up and down through the town all the time. So I spent a lot of time in Manchester city centre, and I specifically spent a lot of time in the arcades of Manchester city centre, and even more specifically this one at Piccadilly Gardens. Now, in 1994, my relationship with the future Mrs. Degsy was just underway. We had literally been going out for about a week or two, and we had arranged that I would go and meet her down at her halls of residence, which was down Oxford Road to sort of the south side of central Manchester. And I had 60 quid. I'd got me pay for the week. I was working part-time. I was a student, but I was working part-time. And as usual, I was basically skint because I'd lost all my money on fruit machines, but I had got my pay. And I had about 60 quid. Or just over 60 quid. So I got my return Metrolink ticket from Radcliffe, where I was living at my dad's house at the time, because I was in and out of student accommodation as well, depending on how precarious my financial position was at any given time. So I got my return ticket and set off to meet Mrs. Degsy, for the future Mrs. Degsy, for an evening out. And our plan was to go to the cinema, and we were going to watch 4 Weddings and a Funeral. And you know how it is when you really, really want to be playing fruit machines? Almost more than anything else, it's you always find that you get everywhere in plenty of time, you know, mysteriously early. So I set off super early from my dad's, thinking, well, I don't want to be late for a date with my new girlfriend. I'll set off nice and early. So found myself in Manchester city centre about an hour and a half ahead of schedule, which was clearly no coincidence, because what I wanted to do was go to the arcade. So I got off the Metrolink at Piccadilly Gardens, and I've got about an hour and a half to kill before I need to even set off down on the bus down Oxford Road to Mrs. Degsy's hall of residence. So I knew why I was there early. I was there early to go into the arcade. So I went into the arcade at Piccadilly Gardens. I had like £60 on me. After I'd bought my Metrolink ticket, I had 3 £20 notes on me, and that was all the money I had in the world. I had no spare cash, I had nothing in the bank, I had no other source of funds, and I've got 60 quid for a date with my new girlfriend. That's it. I've got £60. So I go into the arcade and think, well, I'm not going to spend much, because obviously I need money for the date. I've got to take her out. I'll be paying, you know, it's one of our early dates, and I need money for the cinema. I need to get us, you know, some popcorn and some drinks. I need my bus fare down there and back, and then maybe get something to eat after the film. So I need most of this 60 quid. Let's not get silly. Go into the arcade, change a £20 into pound coins, lose the first 20 quid. Even on machines like this, you know, £6 jackpot, 20p a go, you could lose money on them fairly easily. It wasn't difficult to lose 20 quid playing machines like this. And they had all the £6 machines of the day, you know, your Barcrest handicaps, they had labyrinths in there. They actually had some of these machines that you can see off to the side here as well. All low-techs, all the £6 jackpot machines that you can imagine. I think they had like Barcrest, Hyper Viper and Viva Las Vegas, all that lot. One way or another, I lost 20 quid. Of my £60, I lost 20 quid. And I'm thinking, you stupid bastard, what are you doing here? This is your money for a date. This is for a date with your new girlfriend. You've just lost a third of your money. You've now only got 40 quid. You had 60 quid, and now you've got 40 quid. And I'd kind of been kidding myself that I was going in there. I'd spend a fiver on the pinballs or the video games or something like that. But no, of course, I'd gone in there to gamble. So now I've got 40 quid left. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's stupid, but you've still got enough. 40 quid will still do it. Get your bus down there, meet her, go to the pictures. You've still got something, enough money for something to eat afterwards, but that is it. Do not gamble anymore. And yet there I am at the cash booth. £20 coins, please. And lost another 20 quid. Another 20 quid gone. Just hit a bad run, which you could do on these. You could hit a bad run on them. And now I'm down to my last £20 note, and I am fucking fuming with myself. And what are you doing, you fucking imbecile? You are now jeopardizing your date with your girlfriend playing fruit machines. What is the matter with you? And you've got to remember, there's no mobile phones, there's no text, there's nothing like that. She's just expecting me to turn up. And by this time, of course, time was starting to get a little bit short. This hour and a half that I'd had gone down to maybe 15, 20 minutes. I basically needed to be getting my arse into gear and getting a bus down there. And I've got £20 left. I'm thinking, you're going to blow the whole thing here. I mean, I was facing the prospect of going to a payphone and making some dreadful excuse about why I couldn't make it. So with the last sort of pound or two of that second £20 that I lost, I started playing Eastenders. I thought, you know what, I'm going to play Eastenders. Because I like Eastenders and I really like the music on it. And what I had in my head was just getting some nudges and listening to the nudge music and letting the nudge music chill me out. So with my last pound or two out of that second 20 quid, because after that, of course, I was dipping into my final £20 note, and if I'd have dipped into it, that would have been it, and the whole thing would have been fucked. The whole thing would have been blown out of the water at that point. The date would have never happened, and it's a little bit like the old butterfly effect thing. What would have happened if I'd have made some bullshit excuse not to go on that early date with her? Who knows how time would have branched out. But I put a pound or two into EastEnders. I thought, I'll just get the nudges, because the nudge music on this really, really chills me out. So what I'm going to do here is just turn the volume up. And if you could, just indulge me here, if you could for a moment here. Just put yourself in my mindset. I'm desperately, horribly, completely addicted to fruit machines. I've lost most of my money. I've lost 2/3 of the money that I've got for a date with my new girlfriend, and I'm desperately fighting with myself internally not to lose the last £20. As ridiculous as it will sound, if you've never been addicted, you won't understand just how difficult it can be to fight this internal battle with yourself to do the right thing and to not be a fucking idiot and gamble everything away. So I put a couple of quid in, hoping that I would get the nudges. Now, I've got this turned up quite a bit here, so I'm going to stop talking, and hopefully I'll get nudges. When I do get nudges, I'm just going to let the sample loop. Not for as long as I did, because when I got the nudges, I just stood there and listened to the nudge music loop for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, just to try and get my head together and say, do not lose any more. Get the bus and go and meet your girlfriend. So, let's hope it doesn't just drop the feature straight in. So I'm going to hold away from the feature. Hold away from the feature. Oh my god. Now that didn't happen. I did actually get nudges with what I put in. Oh no, why didn't I hold that middle one? That's gone all horribly wrong, hasn't it?
Come and have a butcher's round the square.
That didn't work. I'll pause it and come back. Yeah, it's an absolute masterpiece of planning this. It's like, just hold away from the feature. No! No, why are you doing this to me? I can't avoid getting a win now. You stupid machine. No Hall of Fame for you, Eastenders, you scabrous twat. Right. I could... There we are, right, okay. Let's transport ourselves back. And now I'll just put it down to a more respectable volume. So basically I'll let that sample loop for 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, got me head together enough. So this is why I've got a little bit of a personal resonance with this machine, because if it hadn't have given me nudges off that last pound or two and let me listen to the music and just get me head together, some part of me thinks I'd have changed that last £20. I'd have lost the fucking lot. I'd have been using a payphone to ring up Mrs. Degsy's halls of residence. I'd been making some bullshit excuse as to why I'd missed the date, and who knows what would have happened. There's a little bit of a personal aspect to this machine, but as it is, I got me nudges, got me head together, and managed to walk out of the arcade with my last £20 note. I got the bus down to the halls of residence. We met up, had a lovely chat, got the bus back up, went to go and see Four Weddings and a Funeral, because it was pretty new at the pictures at that time. I think it only came out in sort of May, June. I think it came out in May 94. I think we went to go and see Four Weddings and a Funeral, very much enjoyed ourselves. I think I had enough money left out of the 20 quid for us to go and get a Mackie D's over the road, because you could get like a value meal, you know, like your burger, chips and drink for £2.88. So that is burned into my brain, that you could get a meal from Mackie D's for £2.88. And as the date is coming to an end, I had no money left, so it's not even like I could offer to take her to the pub for a drink or anything like that. So I took her to the bus stop, and she was going back to her halls. I was going to walk back up to the metro station. And she said, because it was only like Friday, it was Friday evening, and she says to me, oh, do you want to get together over the weekend? It'd be nice to see you again. And I'm thinking, I've got no fucking money left, because that 40 quid that I lost in the arcade, that could have been another evening out. We could have met up and we could have done something. So my new girlfriend is saying to me, I'd like to meet you again over the weekend. Are you free? And I had to lie. I had to lie and say, oh, I'm sorry, I've got I've got this essay I've got to get finished. I haven't done any work on it, and I've really got to put some time in it on this weekend. I'm so sorry. And she's like, oh, well, that's all right. Maybe next week then. Yeah, next week. But it's been really nice to see you. And we went our separate ways. And I'm thinking, you are the world's stupidest bastard. Here you are with your new girlfriend, who you're really, really into, you're falling head over heels for, and yet somehow you've managed to blow your chance at seeing her over the weekend because you lost nearly all your money in the arcade playing fruit machines. How thick are you? Now you're skint, and you've got to wait until you get your next pay pack next week before you can arrange to do something. How daft. So if you don't think, I know that I eulogise about these old machines and how great they are, and I do think they're great machines, they're great amusement with prizes in a vacuum, but it's always kind of tempered a little bit by the memory that 92 through to 96, I would say, probably the worst years of my addiction, and didn't really kick it until 99, 2000. So these machines here were right in the middle of it. But there you go, it was the nudge music on EastEnders that at least got me out on that early date with Mrs. Degsy. So what's the machine itself? Oh God, that's only 20 minutes of preamble there. What I'll do is I'll put some time codes in the description, so if you want to skip all the shit and just get straight to the actual machine itself and me talking about the machine, you can skip straight to this point. But I think it's hard to disassociate the machines with your memories of them. I think fruit machine emulation in many ways only works and is so evocative because we have so many memories of these machines, and they're kind of burned into our psyche in particular times of our life, be it our childhood or our teenage years or in my case, it was my late teens and early 20s when I started playing. But whatever it is, they have an emotional resonance with us, which is why they can be so significant. Now, the machine itself, fairly standard Maygay fare of the time. What I've got there is the old whatever symbol I press now, I will get on the reel. And that's quite nice. I can certainly go lower than 12. Absolutely brilliant sample package on this. Maygay they were just the masters of doing a sound package. So we've got the Stranglers going on here. I can't lose that gamble. Now, it did like to lose on good numbers, this. It really did, but I would have had a crack at this back in the day. This can go to a 1. If it wants to, it can go to a 1, but we'll have a gamble on that. There we are, and now we get great music on the repeat chance as well. So there we are. Let's have a little crack at that. Oh, and we've got a repeat. So, yeah, a little bit of ace of spades. We'll have that. Oh, 2. You know what? That's not bad. 2 repeats is fairly unusual. So that's, every single sample on these things is absolutely fantastic. Did they ever do 3 repeats? 3 repeats was very rare. Yeah, and to be honest, 2 repeats is not bad going on this. We'd be quite happy with that. Could do 3 holds, but it was rare on the better symbols in my experience, if it ever did it at all. So there we are, and now we're on to Come On Ever Butchers Round the Square. There we are, and I can remember just about every single sample on this machine. Now, a favourite one was to go to Arthur. Let's get 2 and go to Arthur and see if he's got himself a job. No, he hasn't. Now, a friend of mine at the time, he always collected the dosh. Whenever the dosh got above £2, he would collect it because he felt it would always kill him. And he did kind of have a point that this may very well kill me now. Oh no, Frank will kill. Oh, Frank will kill her. That was a bit reckless, wasn't it? So we've lost our £2.80 there. I should have collected that £2.80 there. That was a little bit silly, I have to be honest with you. I mean, what I would do... For me, the feature was all about getting to the Bridge Street features here. So you've got your sort of cafe thing there, you've got your laundrette, and welcome to the Queen Vic. Now, the other thing with the holds after nudges on this, it could hold after nudges on anything, but it seemed far, far happier to hold after nudges when it was for feature and not a win. So what I would always do, so for example there, oh, there, it's brought the feature straight in, but I would always try and leave 2 feature symbols on the reel rather than 2 fruits or bars, because it always seemed happier to hold for the feature on the hold after nudges. And interesting fact, it didn't take a credit either. If it held after nudges, it didn't take a credit off you. You can actually get the hold after nudges on the same credit. Let's keep an eye on... You've got to keep an eye on the nudge pot. There we are. Look at that. Jackpot. I think you can tell. You know when it does the very, very long reel spin? I don't know if you noticed there at the start of that feature. It did a long reel spin. I think that kind of means that it's setting up the jackpot within a smallish number of nudges. So there we are. That's probably the worst sample on the machine, I think, is the jackpot sample. I'm not quite on board with that one. Yeah, we could do without that maybe. That's possibly the weak link on this, is the jackpot sample. So let's carry on. No. See now, this can hold, but it's unlikely. It does seem far, far more cheerful to hold when you've just got the 2 Eastenders symbols. So what I would always do, and I can't... Oh, I can get cherries there. That's fine, actually. Let's have cherries. This could lose. No, and now we're obviously going to exchange at that point. We're not going to take it on a dodgy number. And I think my friend was kind of onto something. You are usually safe. Oh, thanks, Arthur. Thanks, Arthur. You are usually safe up to £2. We should be okay up to £2.
I'm off air.
She's off air. So that's fine, okay. Sorry for the dreadful Cockney accent. See, I just used to love the sample package on this. We don't want to get wheel clamped. Oh, what's up, Frank? Is that game over? Gee, I thought... Ugh. Bloody hell, Frank, what's the matter with you? Oh, he's always losing his money on the horses, dear me. Right, where are we? See now, 1, 2, 3. So that would be... So I wouldn't now nudge that. I would nudge that because it's more likely to hold. It's not dead cert, but it's more likely to hold, he says, of course, as it doesn't hold. And what would happen on these is they would have little enriched periods, kind of like we just saw there, where you'll get there we are, where you'll get like 12. Watch how it doesn't take a credit here, by the way, because you get your hold after nudges on. So I'm going to press start. You get your hold after nudges on the same credit. So if you get nudges on your last credit, you will actually get the sort of flash on the same credit. You won't get it if you put 20p, because you will get it on that credit that does it. Let's see where we get. No, I would hold out for £3 plus repeat chance or jackpot off nudges. Now my mate, he would now collect the £2. The guy used to play fruit machines with quite a bit at the time. He would collect £2. As soon as it hit, see, for example, because Arthur, the useless bastard, will go and lose his job again. Never mind, Arthur. And that was his principle. He always collected £2 or more as soon as he had it in the dosh. I think he may have been onto something, but I could never help myself. I would always try and push on to get a decent win off the nudge pot or to get myself onto one of the Bridge Street features there. Some of which could pay quite nicely. And I should have checked the reels there. My favourite of them was the fruit stall, because that really could go quite big when it wanted to. But I would basically take any of them. They were all okay. The Queen Vic was generally that'd give you £3 as a minimum and could go quite big. In fact, all of them could do okay, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if they actually have. We've got some slight alpha issues there, haven't we? I am playing here in an early version. I am playing. Oh, where's she going? Oh, there we are in the Queen Vic. Well, the alpha's gone all kinds of horrible there, so we'll have to do it. So there's £3, £4. That's £6, so that's a jackpot. And that's it. Is that going to fix it? There we are. So the alpha went a bit screwy here. I am playing in MFME v3.2 here, so this is an old version of the emulator. So that was a straight £6 there, but sometimes what it can do is one of the characters will just tell you that they're going to the Queen Vic or whatever, or that they're going out, and then it'll drop you there. Or you can land on the actual Bridge Street features square, and it will offer you one of the features, and I think you can choose whether to take it or not. But I would always take it. Whatever it offers me, I would I should have held the bloody Eastenders things there. Well, I'm not doing too bad here. I think I put 20 quid in, and I've got 21 quid in the bank. So if this nudge here, like on this, I'm not going to nudge that, I'm going to nudge that. And then I would bet long money that it wouldn't have given me the hold there on the melons, but it will give me the hold on the feature.
Come and have a butcher's round the square.
So let's see where we can get to on this one.
In minor flowers.
Minor flowers. Now this is a little bit dangerous here because Mitchell, I guess it's Phil Mitchell, is it? He likes it. I've got to be honest with you, I never watched EastEnders. I have not watched an episode of EastEnders in my life, but it was just so kind of ubiquitous at the time. You couldn't avoid soap. Oh,
For Pete's
bloody hell. For Pete's sake is about the size of it. It was a little bit of a dangerous corner, that, because Mitchell there, he liked to, let's have a look. It's got to be scrapped. And he was fond of putting a wheel clamp on you there. And as we've already seen, Frank was a bugger for bloody losing all his money at the bookies, which was game over as well. And Grant there liked to chuck you out too. That was another problem that you had. So I think all of the character squares had like good results and bad results. So we'll go for that hold there, see if it gives us that, which it has. So back in. So I think it's fairly clear here. Does that mean it's setting me up for treble bars? Oh no. Well, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm 7 nudges away from treble bars there, because it did do a nice long. Ooh. Hang on.
Let's have a look. It's dynamite.
That's good, yeah, we like that, so I only need 3 more, one more nudge. Oh no, you know, oh god, you know what? Mr. Stupid here. There's me looking at bloody double bars and the jackpot's on. I had tunnel vision there for the double bars, but so yeah, it does look like that long spin on feature entry means that it is setting up the jackpot for you. So these were great machines, and I think the reason this is going into the Hall of Fame is that, aside from my sort of personal affection for it, for potentially preemptively saving my marriage was the fact that, well, apart from being the agent of my downfall as well, but we'll gloss over that, we'll be selective with the facts, is that I think it is the perfect AWP package. I think 20p £6 is pretty much bang on in terms of stake to prize ratio. So you've got very regular wins, you've got very regular features. Maygay have done a great job with the license here. This is a really good licensed machine. They've given it a superb sound package. Thankfully they haven't got to... I think they've done the right thing here in using quite a lot of Eastenders samples for the voices and all that kind of thing, but not going overboard with the music. I think it'd be really annoying if it played the Eastenders music while you were going round the board, for example. So I think they've done the right thing and have the Eastenders music for when it triggers the feature, or when the feature is available, but to then use, you know, their standard kind of Maygay style sound package. I believe that was a wise choice. You know, you always get a chance to collect something. You know, my friend who always collected his £2, he would just about always get something off the feature, because as soon as he was offered £2, he would just collect it. And obviously we're going to gamble on that. The £3 repeater can repeat. This was one of the more generous £3 repeaters, I would say. You know, you'd maybe get a repeat about 50% of the time, and as we saw there, it could repeat twice as well. And all of these features had the potential to be pretty good. Certainly the fruit stall and the laundrette, they both had a sort of a random repeat chance. So once you'd had the feature and it had finished, it would then, you'd get the little noise when it flashes Albert Square on the hold after nudges, and then you would get a repeat on it. That one there would he'd tell you he was still hungry or whatever, and then he'd get something else to, oh dear, that could be dangerous.
What's that, Grant Mitchell?
Oh, bollocks. And you know what? I took my eye off the ball there because I had £2.40 in the dosh meter. But I think was the... Yes, look at that. The jackpot was close on that one there. So there's no particular stunning thing about this. So if you think about screenplay, which went into the Hall of Fame, that was clearly something really rather unusual with that screen, the video screen, and all the different games on it. Double Chance was an absolute masterpiece of a skill machine where, you know, it's got that one feature where if you can master it, you can really get on top of it. But I would say that Indiana Jones was more just an example of a perfectly balanced fruit machine. It didn't do... Oh, I can't get the feature head. You know, there was no single standout aspect of Indiana Jones. It was just everything came together to make a really good playable fruit machine, and I think Eastenders does it in the same way. It has got all the ingredients, all the elements of a really good amusement with prize machine. It puts them together perfectly, and what you have is a very playable machine.
Let's have a look.
Come on. There we are. And this is a machine, it's one of these machines that I do fire up in the emulator and have done over the years. Well done, Arthur.
Well done.
And have done over the years and continue to do so even now. When I was just playing Coronation Street and East End, oh come on. Off air. Now, see, my mate would collect that. He'd say, you know, collect your £2.20. It's going to kill you. It's going to kill you on the next throw. You know it is. And I'd be like, no, I might get a feature.
Let's have a look. It's...
Yeah, see, he didn't know what he's talking about. Right. Oh, 9 nudges. So I wasn't actually any better off, though. It still just killed me with that £2.20, didn't it? Yeah, it was when I was playing Coronation Street and Eastenders over the last day or two. I just put a few bob through them just to try and decide which one I wanted to put in the Hall of Fame. That it came back to me just how good they are, and that is why Coronation Street will get a video of itself. I didn't want to lump them together. I thought, well, I could just kind of cover them both in one video. I thought, you know what, that...
Let's have a look.
Oh, come on! Bloody Mitchell, he's a con artist, he really is. I thought that they did deserve a video of their own. There we are. You're always going to go for melon, aren't you? There we are. These gambles have actually been fairly kind to me, in fairness. I haven't done too bad. So again, my same mate here would just take his £2.40. But I think you're going to get one spin, aren't you? Surely. There we are. So, and his argument would be, it's still going to just kill you. So So you don't actually gain anything by going around the board because it's just going to have you. Maybe he was onto the legitimate way to play this, and that was what you were supposed to do. You were just supposed to collect it. But sometimes, once in a while, I would be vindicated and I would refuse to collect it, and I'd land on one of the Bridge Street features, and then it would go pretty big, and then I'd get like £10 or £12 off the fruit stall and say, there you go, I wouldn't have had that if I'd just collected £2.20 like you would have done, you big pansy. I mean, the one thing that I would like to do is get another one of the Bridge Street features, but they can be surprisingly tricky to get. Oh, for Pete's sake, absolutely. I'll just have another feature or two. We'll see if we can get. I'd like to get the fruit stall or the cafe feature there, because both of those can repeat quite nicely. But you could go through a whole session on one of these and even potentially win a few bob and not actually see one of those features, because it had lots and lots of ways of giving you wins. £3 repeater and jackpot off the features we've seen a couple of times now on the nudge pot. It did like to do. Let's see if we can get round there. Half the trick is just getting round there. Oh, don't chuck me out. It's alright, we're okay for now. But £2 and a...
I'm off to the Vic.
Yeah, oh, we got the Vic again. We got the Queen Vic again. Dun, 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 dun. So let's see what we get off this. I think it's a minimum of £3. So there's 2, 4, 5, 7, 8. Oh, £8, not too bad. It's a jackpot on a bit. Got a nice decent bank going on there. So no sign of the fruit stall, I'm afraid, and no sign of the cafe feature. And thanks to my bloody wittering on before about being big bloody story, this video's actually got quite long now. Shall we have one more? But I think the next feature is probably going to be a stinker. What I would say is, if you have... Oh, I should have nudged the other way there. If you haven't fired this layout up for a while, I would kind of respectfully suggest that you just load it up and remind yourself what great fruit machines they were. As fantastic as MFME V5 and through to 6 and now 6.1 have been, there have been, because of course it's opened up Scorpion 5 primarily, we have seen an awful lot of £35 and £70 jackpots be released, which has been fantastic. It's opened up a lot of new stuff, but it's easy to forget, because frankly I think the £70 jackpot fruit machines are awful. They are absolutely diabolical. They have no gameplay or fun to them whatsoever. The interesting thing about them is when they've got tricks and emptiers and manipulators and you can kind of do them, but to actually sit down and play them for entertainment, as you can sit down and play a machine like Eastenders, they just do not have it. And it's easy to lose track of, or kind of forget about, how many great machines there are like that in the fruit machine emulation archives. And as we can see here, just because a layout is 10 years old doesn't mean it can't still look the business today and absolutely stand up as a great DX, even here in 2018. Not a wheel clamp, and I'd like to avoid Frank if possible. Oh, I've got half a shot now at the Bridge Street feature, so I really want a 3 now. Please. Bollocks. 1. Bollocks. Right, okay. The problem... Oh, don't lose his money. Okay, once you get over £2, I've got to be honest, you are kind of in the death zone. No, don't scrap it. Oh, fuck you. Right, okay. So let's collect out. I think I've actually won a few quid there. Let's collect that bank out and see where we're up to, because that's a decent result. So, I mean, that's kind of all there is to say about this. I mean, the other thing is that, say, where Indiana Jones has got several skill features, so you've got the Holy Grail, you've got the Pathway to Riches, you've got the Leap of Faith, and you've got a little bit of judgment on that machine as well as to when to collect things and when to push on. You don't quite have this. I appreciate that Maygays have got a far simpler sort of code base and they've got far simpler behaviour. In fact, on that, over the years there have been more than one person has and people who will know the truth about this has commented. In fact, while I'm talking, I will just put a few more credits through. More than one person who I think is in a position to know about it has said that has commented that Maygay's method of controlling their percentage and controlling their wins and all that kind of thing, the method of control that Maygay used on their AWPs was illegal. And I've heard that said more than once. Now, I guess this is all ancient history now, so, kind of the statute of limitations has passed, as it were. Maygay don't even exist as a company anymore, so if anyone knows what the truth of that is, what it was about Maygay and the way they controlled their machines that apparently was not sort of compliant with the legislation that we had at the time, if you know about that, then please do leave a comment, or over at Desert Island Fruits, where I will link to this video, because I would be fascinated to know what the details behind that are and what the truth of that is, because I have heard that said more than once over the years. Can we get the features? No, I can get thrown out instead. Well, there you go. I think this one has gone on for long enough at this point. I would have liked to have got the fruit stall feature. Pound of everything. All it does is step up and down. You can see the fruit stall there. Steps up and down, fills, or you choose up or down, and then it goes in that direction. It fills in the various fruits. Doesn't fill them all in, but it'll stop once it's filled in, one or two or three, or sometimes it can do all of them. And then once it's done that, I think if it fills in all of them, it adds up to £5.80, and then it gives you a bonus 20p for the jackpot. And then it can just repeat. And then it can repeat again, and you can get like 3 or 4 repeats on that. So that can be a really good feature. And if Frank is particularly hungry, when you go to the cafe, he can scoff pretty much everything that's on the menu there until he will finally say, "I'm stuffed." And that's the end of that one. We've seen there that the Queen Vic is basically just a win series, and the laundrette is kind of, she'll make you an offer and you've got to say, "You can collect it now," and then you've either got collect or refuse, and it'll either go up or she'll tell you you're being greedy, and that's the end of the feature. So 4 great features on there. Off to the side of the main feature, we've already seen how it can work with the nudges and the £3 repeater and all that thing. So I think that even though it's a simpler beast, I mean, bear in mind that Indiana Jones was a £6 jackpot fruit machine, and this is a £6 jackpot fruit machine. I'll be the first to admit that this is a simpler beast than Indiana Jones. There's less to it in many ways, and there's certainly a lot less skill, but I think it's nonetheless a great AWP. I played it a huge amount back in the day. I think the test of some of these machines is, do I fire them up in the emulator and play them just for fun periodically? And Eastenders is absolutely on that list. It is and has been a layout that I will just fire up and play it out to the bank limit, put 30, 40, 50 quid through, close it down, and then do the same thing again, maybe 2 months or 4 months or 6 months later. The point being that this is a machine that I will return to, and I will play it for fun, and I will always have a decent amount of volume on as well, because I absolutely love the sound package on this. So Eastenders is going into the Hall of Fame with some pretty good company in there, and honourable mention goes to Coronation Street, which I will do a follow-up video on as well. But there we are. I hope you have enjoyed this rather overly long video. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you next time. But for now, goodbye.